Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1388. Happy Sunday, day after the Madison Card Show. A little tired. Another long day. Great day at the Madison Card Show. We'll talk about that. Didn't get very good sleep last night, partially because of the most annoying sound, and I cannot replicate it, so don't worry. The most annoying sound in the world, a dead battery in a smoke alarm. So I woke up at some point and I went to bed, my normal 10 o'clock. And my wife and Ernie got into bed, I don't know, 11, like an hour and a half later, 11:30. Ernie was like crazed, like zoomies at midnight. So that woke me up. I get to sleep and I wake up, I don't know, in the middle of the night and you hear beep. I could replicate it. Beep. And I'm like, oh, God. But it's weird how the smoke alarm, it almost like extends or shortens. All of a sudden it's like battery's dead, beep. And then it's like 15 minutes before another beep, which is okay. I can handle that because I can fall back asleep. But then all of a sudden it was like a couple hours, and now it's like every 60 seconds, beep, beep, and it's like, oh, I'm just getting back to sleep, beep, and you're up, and then you're just waiting. It's torture. Like that's torture. You're just waiting for the next beep, beep. So I get up, I don't know, around 7 this morning. I would have liked to sleep until like now. So I took Ernie out. I'm like, where is that? And of course, you have smoke alarms throughout your entire house. And finding the source of the beep is kind of a difficult task. It always sounds like it's right above you. Like you look at this smoke, God damn it, it's not this one. You go to the next one. Oh, it's not that one. So sounds like it was like from the bedroom. It sounds like, oh, it's probably just outside in the hallway. And I look at the hallway. Beep. Nope, it's not the hallway. So I come back in. All of a sudden, I go downstairs into the bathroom, and all of a sudden, beep, like it's loud down there. Like, okay, so I look in the hallway downstairs, down here. Beep. Nope, not that one. So I go in the storage area on the other side. Beep. Nope. It's getting fainter. I go into one of the spare bedrooms. Beep. Oh, there it is. Found it. So it didn't take me too long. I get our old house. I was going upstairs, downstairs, and that was basically tri-level, finished basement, and then 2 stories. Running up and downstairs, trying to find this damn smoke alarm. So this was a little easier to find. So I switched out the batteries and no more. So we're good to go. Now, what happens when one smoke alarm battery dies? All of the others die. And if it's not at the same time, I'll probably wake up at 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. Beep. Like, oh, another one. Well, I know it's not this one. Which smoke alarm is it? So that was my morning. Madison Card Show was this weekend, so I went out Friday. I had a little concern. So there's a giant parking lot at the Sheraton. However, a lot of people come through the Madison Card Show. So even if they're at like 0 capacity, which never happened, they were at like 8% capacity at one time. But even if it's an empty parking lot of people staying at the hotel, like once the show gets rolling mid-morning, the entire parking lot's full. And like every spot you can fill is full. So it really, next month is going to be different. We have the dog show the same weekend, which I like because there's dogs everywhere, but there's also cars in the parking lot. And sometimes it's hard to avoid. And the parking situation, it is what it is. So the hotel reached out to me this week and said, We have another event going on at the same time, so parking may be limited. Here's what we're going to do. Can you post that parking is available across the street at the Alliant Energy Center? Unfortunately, it's $8 to park, but we will provide a free shuttle. We will provide a free shuttle back and forth. Like if they call us, we'll come pick them up, drop them off, all that. I'm like, okay. So of course, this is a preventative, being proactive. Excuse me. So this is being proactive. And the problem with being proactive is at times it creates unnecessary drama and freakouts. And so people will see this proactive alternative plan just in case. Doesn't mean you have to go pay $8 to park and walk across the street in the 25-degree weather. It's not what we're saying. Come to the Madison Card Show. If there's not a parking spot and you really want to come in and spend $8 to park, you at least have transportation across the street. Of course, there's no parking. No, there might be park. There probably will be parking. It's limited parking as it is every month, just based on the amount of people that come through the door. You know that from month to month. So it's like, I almost just want to play dumb and not even be proactive because it just creates unnecessary drama. So Friday afternoon, I go out to make sure the rooms are set up and, put the name tags on the tables and bring in my extra tables. And there's 6 cars in the parking lot. So my assumption when I got this email from the hotel was they're packed. They've got an event and they're going to be packed. And I pull in, I'm like, there's freaking 6 cars in the park, giant desert of concrete, just waiting for the Madison Card Show customers on Saturday. So I go inside, and my buddy John, who I've now known for 10 years, and now he works at the Sheraton, and he just does some of the shuttle runs. And so I'm talking to him, and I'm like, hey, nobody here. What's the deal with parking tomorrow? So he says, there's a Mary Kay event in the third ballroom at the Sheraton. And plus they're using some of the conference rooms as well. So it's happening at the same time as the card show. So there might be, there will be overlapping. Fortunately, we're, at 10%, 15% capacity at the hotel. So it's not people staying in the hotel. Okay. So, and then he, gave me the spiel, so here's how it's going to, okay, cool. So, as it always is, parking was limited. It's a huge parking lot, but when you get 1,500, sometimes 2,000 people coming through, even a large parking lot is hard to contain that. And then when you add people staying at the hotel and another event. So it is what it is. We just have to deal with it. But there are alternatives if you really want to. And kind of what I like, it's not like a 20 table VFW American Legion show. There's 140 tables. It's a pretty good monthly show. It's free admission. I was talking about this with another show promoter, and it's we don't realize in the Midwest, we don't realize how good we have it with card shows. On the East Coast, you go into a 40 table VFW show and you're paying $5 or $10 admission to a 40 table monthly show at a American Legion Hall. And here we've got these giant 150, 200, 300 table shows, and some of them are a couple bucks admission, but typically less than $5 and certainly less than $10 admission. Usually it's $1 or $2 if there is admission. Most shows around here in the Midwest, at least in Illinois and in Wisconsin, on a monthly show basis, free admission. So we've got it. We're lucky in the Midwest. So I don't think many people had to do the shuttle. I don't know, maybe a couple people did, just like didn't want to walk. So Parky, it was, it's full. It's always full. It's always full. So it is what it is. And honestly, like, there are other venues that, the larger venues, I hear it all the time. Oh, you've outgrown the space. It's, you need a bigger space. There isn't. Like, there are, but you're gonna have to pay. And dealers, they don't want to. If they struggle paying $60 for a table, certainly going to struggle paying $200, which is what it would cost probably. And certainly across the street at the Alliant, because I've gotten quotes a couple times. And you have to pay parking over there for customers. I'd have to charge admission. So sometimes you just have to deal with nothing is perfect. It's going to be warm. We know it. Every month we have HVAC issues every single month. Sometimes it's too cold in the summer because the air's cranked because it's fucking 100 degrees outside. It's hot in the winter because it's 10 degrees outside and the heat's cranked. And then, you try to get it finely tuned, and and then the HVAC system is an HVAC system. So, we're 4 years in almost? Yeah, almost 4 years in. It's going to be hot inside the show during the winter, and sometimes it's going to be really cold in the summer months. So dress appropriately. Like in the summer in July, bring a hoodie. You don't have to wear it outside. I had one dealer. He's like, it's always so cold in here. And I'm like, bring a fucking hoodie. Bring a jacket. Oh, it's July. I shouldn't have to do that. Well, then don't complain about it being cold in here. Because month after month in the summer, it's going to be cold. You don't have to go out in the 100-degree heat and wear your damn jacket. Bring it just like you bring an extra box or your cooler. Put a goddamn jacket in there. And if you get cold, put it on. It's like, come on. We shouldn't have to hold your hands here. So it's warm. If you wear a hoodie and you get hot, take it off. I just wear it. And I'm running around a lot, so I'm not like standing still. So I am doing a lot of running. So I just wear a freaking polo and although it did get like the air kicked on all of a sudden, it's like I'm warm like most of the day. And you just deal with it. And all of a sudden I'm talking to a dealer and I feel this breeze and I'm like, there's no outside doors in here, but I feel a breeze. And I'm like, oh, it's the air. That feels good. That feels good. So that was yesterday. We'll talk about the show. And no drama. I will say, and we'll get to the chat, we did have 3 potential thefts. 3 for 3 were thwarted. I didn't get anybody say, hey, I'm missing this card, or, this guy stole and got away. One dealer actually, it was his table. He caught somebody trying to sneak into his case, and then I think it was a younger kid. And I said, was it a kid, or was it like a kid that is old enough to know better? He's like, oh, old enough to know better. I'm like, okay. So I think he kind of masked it as he wanted to take the card out of the case to look at it. Well, you don't just go up to a dealer's case and open it up and take cards out to examine them. That is a no-no. You don't do that. And maybe he didn't know better. You never know. But, that's usually how thefts happen. So he was on alert. And then he went to the bathroom later in the show, and another dealer was watching his table, caught somebody doing it again. Busted him in the act. And then I had another dealer who was buying quote sealed product, and there was supposed to be, I think, 8 or 10 packs in this box, and they exchange, and all of a sudden he's like, wait, this doesn't feel right. Opens it up, there's only 2 packs, and the track chases the guy down, and of course he plays dumb, so it's like, well, it was supposed to be sealed. Well, it wasn't. So, but no issues with theft that got away with it. So no shows, no late cancels, which might be a first in, I don't know the last time I had a clean slate of 0 no-shows and 0 late cancels. I may have taken a cancel on Friday, but it was early enough Friday morning where I had, it's still late. Like Friday is still late the day before, but I get shit happens. But I also get like inundated with people like, you got any openings? You got any openings? And so I can just like, yep, here you go. So all good on that front. Let's go to the chat. We'll talk more Madison Card Show this morning. Mikey is here. Good morning. Orlando's in the house. He says, hello, everyone. The show looked very busy. It was. In January is typically the one of the highest attended shows each year. Like in the calendar year, typically January is the busiest. Though December, now moving the show after Christmas, my December shows the last 2 years have probably been, and I think I had higher attendance last month than we saw in yesterday. But it was still pretty damn packed. I had maybe one dealer like disappointed with his sales, but it certainly wasn't for lack of attendance. Sometimes that happens. I mean, I've done shows. I mean, shit. I did in my buddy Wally and his son Jackson set up, and they gave me their table at the Spectacular for Sunday back in November, and I had a terrible day, but it wasn't for a lack of attendance or location of the table. I just had shit. I just didn't have any good stuff. So that's completely on me. And so he said the same situation might happen in March. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I'll do it. It's fun. But I just, need to, okay, what went wrong? Why didn't I make good sales in November? And let's do something different for March if I get that opportunity. So, very busy. It was a packed house. And we're going to talk Pokemon today. Can you believe that we're going to talk about Pokemon on Hobby Evolution? 1,388 episodes in. Holy shit is all I have to say about Pokemon. Holy shit. And I'll tell you why. Johnny Boy Cards, what's up? Good morning. Dave's here. Good morning. 608. I saw Cody. Thank you, Cody. He's about to walk the dog, and it's not too bad. Temperatures are going to rise, according to my computer. I think we're in for like a warm streak this week. I think we might hit mid-30s, upper 30s throughout the week. So I'm looking forward to that. Orlando is out for a walk and listening. So Cody is going to take the dog for a walk. Orlando's already on a walk, but I bet they're dressed differently. I bet Orlando is probably sporting some shorts and a t-shirt. Cody's probably going to have to layer up. The difference between South Florida and Wisconsin. That dude from Duryea, what's happening? Good morning. Billy Joe's in the house. Good morning. Christian's here. He says he's got an idea. Change them all. Talking about the smoke detectors. That would probably be the smart thing to do. Uncle Rich, good morning. John says proactive seems a lost art in modern times. Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is. Don't be botches, folks. Parking and walking is part of life. You bitches probably had school bus stops right outside your front door. I had to walk 3 blocks to school. 3 blocks, 3 whole blocks. Yeah, my mom gave me a ride to school most days. I walked every once in a while. Zach says Porter and I are putting our YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame video together. Orlando and Bo at the top of our list. I am not worthy. Orlando is worthy. I am not worthy. Keating, Vintage Card Steve, Negron and Tiger 727 are all making it. Heavy smoke alarm content. John says, wait, there's other events other than card shows that happen. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. So, yeah, we had the Mary Kay event going on with the card show at the Sheraton. Across the street, there was like what the hell was going on across the street? It was the, might have been like the home, not a home show, but maybe hot tub. Maybe a hot tub convention or something. I don't know. Something was going on across the street. Not a big event. Not a big event though. Not like the horse show or the dog show. Those are pretty huge events. Or the dairy show's like worldwide famous. More famous than Bratfest, which is also across the street. John says, was the extra large guy wearing the pink shirt confused about which event he was there to attend? There were a lot of pink ladies. Some pink Cadillacs in the parking lot. And for the first time ever in 4 years of the Madison Card Show, there was a line for the women's restroom. Never seen that before at the Madison Card Show. That dude from Duryea, attendees are on their own as to where to park, especially in a metro area. Yeah, and I think we're just, and you're from the East, East Coast-ish, I guess. But, I think that's lost on, we take it for granted in the Midwest, especially in, Madison's not really rural, but compared to the Philly and New York and Boston, certainly is rural. We take parking for granted. Like we just think we should be able to park in the front row and walk inside the door, where go to, Chicago, like pay $15 to park. Like we're spoiled. We are spoiled when it comes to parking, and complain about, oh, I had to walk all the way from the Holiday Inn next door. It's like, really? Philly Joe, good luck and have fun, Zach. John says, your dealers also don't realize how easy they have it with cheap table fees. Yeah. And they've gone, and they've got like $60. Now, I may have had one dealer there was another one last month that was kind of like, ooh, I don't know. But it's okay. Like, I don't want them to leave, but there's plenty of people to replace them. And, it's supply and demand. If you want to make a statement by not setting up because the table fees went up $10, there's 100 people to take that spot for you. Uncle Rich says you were paying $5 to $10 for the bi-monthly Dallas shows as well, some of which are 50 tables or so. Oh, wow. I didn't realize there was that charge there as well. Mikey says, has anyone missed me lately? John says, no, Mikey, we all have busy lives of our own. I don't really miss anybody. Bradley says, good morning. Leaving for Eau Claire show in a few minutes. Very nice. John says, hope you're well, but we move on. Mikey says, true. Zach says, there is limited parking in Oak Creek. Yeah, you have to park across the street at Target. I always park farther away. My reason, we are capable and can walk. I leave closer spaces for older people or those with limited abilities. That's great. That's awesome. Big Harv in the house. If you can find a show that charges less than $10 in California, you start questioning why. Yeah, okay, it's not just East Coast. California, Dallas. We are spoiled in Wisconsin. Like the most you'll pay in Wisconsin at a show is $1. I'm trying to think if there are any shows more than $1. Oak Creek is $1 admission, and it's a donation to the Salvation Army, which is where the show is held. Janesville is free admission. Madison is free admission. There's a show in a couple weeks. Not only is it free admission, but the tables are free. I couldn't believe it. Columbus, Wisconsin. In 2 weeks, I believe it's Valentine's weekend. Somebody was telling me, I think it was Michael Renicky. He goes, yeah, it's Valentine's Day weekend. I'm like, dude, I've been married for almost 10 years. We don't do Valentine's Day. Like Valentine's Day is Sunday around here. Like, it's just another day of the week. I don't know what day Valentine's Day is, but I'm like, so I'm thinking, and he's like, tables are free. And I'm like, I don't want to take a table up. But I'd go like that type of show, like that's like a flea market type show where like anybody can go set up. You get good buys at shows like that. So I'm probably going to go to that show just to be a buyer. But yeah, we are so spoiled in Wisconsin. All the Green Bay shows are free admission. Stevens Point, free admission. Mosinee, Marshfield, Appleton, free admission. Dan says, I've been able to sell some Korean sets and Japanese cards this week. Nice to earn cash to invest. Very nice. I saw Kyle yesterday. Kyle came to the Madison Card Show. I think he even found some NASCAR. Good morning, Kyle. Madison Card Show was awesome yesterday. It was even better when I got reading about what I bought. Very nice. Very nice. I saw Kyle yesterday. My cousin came up from Maquoketa, Iowa. Very fun town name to say. My childhood buddy Brandon came up with his nephew, and they had a table next to East Coast Tom yesterday. My cousin Brock, who actually lives here in Madison, but he's got kids, and this is kind of his downtime, so he can bring his son out for the show. So got to see a lot of people that I don't see on a regular basis. Dan says some extra cash, that is. John says dealers should be docked a demerit every time they complain. 5 demerits and they move to the bottom of next month's list. I got talking to another promoter, and I do my waiting list differently than another promoter does. We got to talking about, waiting lists and all that. And, his is like straight, like if you requested back in January of 2022 when you were on the waiting list, you're like number 1. And he just goes down. He's like, oh, no, you're number 77 on the waiting list. I don't do that. Like, it's basically reach out to me on a monthly basis. If you reached out to me 4 or 5 months ago, you're probably not going to be reached. I'm not going to reach out to you because I assume if you're not following up with me, you don't want a table. Kind of like when you're interviewing for jobs and you don't follow up, the employer might think, well, he hasn't followed up. I'm not in, he's not interested in the position. So basically you get higher on the more times you reach out, the higher on the list you get, or the more top of mind you are. And especially if it's Thursday, Friday, the week of, like, I know, okay, this guy's committed. If you reached out to me 2 weeks ago and never followed up, I assume you have found either another card show to do or another activity, or you just don't want to set up at the show. So if you were put on the waiting list 6 months ago, like, you're still like on a list, but the chances of me reaching out to you 6 months later without any communication in between is minimal. So if you are on the waiting list, or if someone is on the waiting list for the Madison Card Show, tell them, follow up with me, and there's a better chance. Also, I cherry pick. Even if you reach out to me Thursday or Friday, but if you're a Pokemon dealer, I'm probably going to pass because we've got a lot of Pokemon. I'm going to talk about that, though, today. I'm starting to change my tune a little bit on Pokemon. If you have vintage, I'm probably going to move you to the top of the list. Actually, I'm not probably. I will move you to the top of the list if you have vintage. If it's a bunch of ultra modern slabs, we'll see. There's a lot of that. I want balance. I don't want every table to be Patrick Mahomes Kaboom. Although Kaboom's like freaking move, man. They're as hot as Pokemon right now, or downtowns, whatever they are. Mikey says, oh, so I'm not welcome back. I'm confused, John, by you saying move on from me. No, Mikey, we move on in our daily lives, regardless of who is here. That is life. Orlando says, dealer not happy. You have a waiting list. Absolutely. Merle says he should bring a space heater to the July show. There you go. A jacket or a space heater. Oh, it's July. It's 100 degrees out. Well, it's not 100 degrees inside where you're at all day complaining about how cold it is. By the way, the same dealer that was complaining about the cold and not wearing a jacket in July inside the card show where he's cold is also one of the like 2 dealers that complained about prices going up and, oh, I don't know if I can afford that. That's okay. Just tell me you can't afford it and we can move on. Zach says he misses Diego. Where is Diego? Man. Johnny says, good morning. Zach misses Mark Hoyle. Mark Hoyle pops in. Merle says, happy Sunday fun day. Go Bills. I don't think. I've changed my mind. I do have a rooting interest in today's games. Buffalo, Kansas City, not really. I don't care who, like, I'd be happy with Buffalo. I'd be happy with Kansas City. If you made me choose, I'd probably pick Buffalo. Washington, Philly. I'm going to root for Washington. I'm going to root for Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. Sorry, Philly. Sorry, John. Zach says, I'm worried about George and his liver. It's been a minute. Oh, we have not heard from George. Well, Dan was in the Philippines because we didn't hear from Dan in a while. We haven't heard from George in a while, although we are later. He might be going to bed. Oh, wait, he's on vacation in the U.S. and has been busy. Okay, so that's why George is not around. He's on vacation now. Thank you, Dan. Bradley says, my biggest complaint about shows I go to is that some dealers pack up early, so you got to get there early to see everything. It is what it is. I don't have that problem for the most part. I mean, I have some dealers that pack up a little early, but, for the most part, like, there's plenty to go around. And just get there early. Like, that's, and there's a 400 table show coming to the area but it's only a 1-day show. And my concerns with that as a dealer would be, you're probably getting the same, since it's a 1-day show, you're going to get the same clientele, the same customer base that you would for any other monthly show. So you're going to have the same money in the room. And now you're just, that money is being split 400 ways instead of 200 ways or 150 ways. So there's less money being spread around among the dealers. So, and going along with that, 400 tables is tough for a 1-day show. Like 150, you can manage 150, even 200 tables, because a lot of that's going to be Pokemon. And if you're Pokemon, great, you've got a great, but if you're sports, it's a 140 table Madison Card Show, but how many are Pokemon tables? I forgot to count yesterday. And I've noticed quite a few of my sports dealers have Pokemon on their tables also, which is okay. Like, hey, chase the money. But it's like, get there early. And I understand some shows don't let you in early. But this is part of, the main reason I allow early birds to the Madison Card Show is because I can't police it. Like, it's pretty much impossible to police. There's multiple entries to the hotel. It is a hotel, so you can't just lock the doors and not let anybody in. We've got dealers out in the mezzanine, dealers coming in. There's no back door to load in. So it's a free-for-all, and multiple rooms, multiple doors. It's just not conducive to opening the doors at 9 a.m. for customers. Like, just come on in. Just don't piss any dealers off that are trying to set up. So my advice is get there early. Like, set your alarm. If you really want to come and experience the entire show and all the dealers before they pack up and leave early or leave on time, you got to get there early. It just is what it is. There's a saying, early bird gets the worm. And I understand some shows, if it's 9 to 3, they open at 9 and they won't let you in earlier. So get there at 9. Madison, you can come at 7 if you want. Dealers are going to be setting up and there's going to be less, but you can pick off a few tables. Because I got some really early guys that start setting up at 6:30. So by 7, there's some stuff to look at. So just get there early. That's what I say. Merle says, where was the MCS security? In full force, baby, in full force. Old enough to know better in regular life doesn't always equate to this hobby. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, most of the shenanigans are from adults, grown men. Zach says that is good news. He comes back to Korea around mid-February. Oh, wow. That's quite the extended vacay. Good morning, Jody. John says, George tweeted me the other day, liver may be shot, but fingers and mind still working. Mikey says, I'm on my way to Terre Haute and just passed an Old Dominion freight truck and thought of you. Thank you for thinking of me. Are you stopping in what's oh man, I gotta look it up. The Beef House. Are you going to Covington? I loved going to Terre Haute in my college athletic days because we would stop in Covington, Indiana, right on the border, across from, I think, Danville, Illinois. And the Beef House, amazing interstate roadway steakhouse. The buns, buttered rolls or whatever they were, the steak. The Beef House, Covington, Indiana. Uncle Rich says Orlando was, as usual, really good on Hobby Hotline yesterday. I'll have to tune in to watch the replay. Rich says, don't you need to bring in Max to discuss Pokemon? Well, to discuss it properly, probably, because I don't know anything about Pokemon, although I did learn some stuff yesterday about Pokemon. We'll talk about Pokemon. Merle says, you didn't put Pokemon in the title. We could have thousands viewing live. Yeah. I've only got between Twitter and YouTube 45. Nobody's awake on this Sunday morning. Although that seems like we've got like 45 in the chat. I don't know. Maybe it's not on Twitter. I don't know. John says walking the dog in Florida could also mean feeding the gators. Be careful. Go bird, says John. Dan says my friends have been in Bali for vacation and my dog sitting will finish up this Wednesday. Very nice. Orlando says shorts and t-shirt for sure in South Florida. Zach says, correct. Change all your alarms and CO2s on a cadence. Write the date on the inside of the battery holder and put a reminder on your calendar. Zach is like really good with like emergency preparedness. You are like 10 out of 10 when it comes to, I'm just like, oh, it's a beep, change the battery. And 2 days later, oh, there's another beep. 2 days later, another beep. I'll take you and Christian's advice. Mikey says, what were you and your wife doing in the bedroom to set off the smoke alarm? Smoke show. Oh, Mikey, he went there. Zach says, right. Damn you, autocorrect. Rich says, way back in the day, Dr. Beckett actually lived next door to Mary Kay Ash. Wow. Yes, it was a really nice area. Pink Cadillacs, pink ladies. Was it a Grease reunion? Shane's in the house. So did the Mary Kay event properly counter the smelly dudes at the card show issues? Yeah, it was a unique dynamic. One of the had dinner at the hotel bar after the show, and the bartender says it was. And a couple of people mentioned how unique the dynamic was today. Like it probably doesn't get much further from card show dudes and Mary Kay ladies. Rich says, better question, did any of the attendees and ladies hook up, so to speak? Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. John says, I thought all Northern Plains cities had tunnels and habit trails. Rich is the uncle you get warned about when you were a niece. Jeez. John says, yes, Rich, because women get all dolled up and smelling pretty so they can land a card collector. Johnny M says, the only one who will be missed is the host of the show. Don't need anyone else. Even then, we will just find another show. Absolutely. Zach means worried. Rich, correct the type to have a mirror on the bottom of his cane. Embrace the perverse. JK Cards of the house. Good morning. How successful was the card show? I'd say it was highly successful. I don't know if any of our dealers are in the chat yet or are in the chat, but it was great. Great turnout. A lot of money being thrown around. Like turnout doesn't always mean happy dealers. And that's why it's almost like you have to do target market. You don't just want people you want to introduce, it's a delicate balance because you want to introduce non-collectors to the hobby, but you also don't want to infiltrate the room with a bunch of non-hobbyists that are just kind of checking things out because they're not going to be spending money. And ideally, you want everybody in the room spending money. And I think we had that yesterday. I did hear, I hear it less and less. People saying, oh, this is the first card show I've been to, or I haven't been to a card show in 20 years. I did hear that a couple times yesterday. It's been a while since I've overheard somebody saying that. But a lot of money being thrown around yesterday. A lot of happy dealers. Christian says, no card show entry fees in Southeast Michigan. Do promoters want attendees to have less money to spend? No, but promoters do have to pay the bills. It's not free to rent venues. It's not a charity to run card shows. It's a lot of work. So sometimes you have to have, ideally, I would charge admission. I just can't, just based on my setup. Ideally, I would charge $1 admission, or maybe at this point $2. But with my setup, and come on, man, $2 is $2 going to hurt the wallet for somebody spending money at the card show? I mean, maybe in 1989, but in 2025, a couple bucks for admission. How many events can you walk into for free? Not many. How many shows? You go to any event, you're probably paying admission of some sort. And like you go across the street, and of course across the street, and I'm talking across the street from the Sheraton, the Alliant Energy Center, like the board game show is like $20 admission. They still fill the house. But they have to charge that. I mean, there's supply and demand goes into it, but also, and I've got the numbers, I've got quotes from that venue. It's expensive, and you have to charge admission to make it work. And people are willing to pay that. If you are not willing to pay that, you don't have to go. You know, and $1 or $2 less in your wallet shouldn't impact how much you're going to spend at a show. John says, we have a professional interviewer in this audience. Some folks want jobs. Some folks just like to interview for them. Possible addiction alert. John says, Bo can't even mail cards within a week. He sure as hell isn't getting back to you if you're on the list. Hey now, 3 business days. 3 business days. Balance can be tough for dealers. A more focused crowd can mean more sales for each dealer. If you're everything to everyone, then sales can be flat across the board. Rich says there are actually some legit reasons to charge something for admission. Absolutely. Zach says, I used Pirate Ship for the 2nd time. I feel like Bo with a screwdriver. It feels weird, but I'm getting closer to you all. Welcome to the Pirate Ship world. Although I don't use Pirate Ship that often. I use it for, I'll use it if I do YouTube sales, like selling directly here on YouTube. I use Pirate Ship. My wife's like Poshmark, like, I don't know. Every once in a while, she'll sell something on one of those platforms. So I'll ship that stuff for gifts to, like, for my best friend just had a baby. So we, use Pirate Ship, but I don't use it that often. Zach says, Diego's good. I still talk to him, just busy. Well, that's good to hear. Uncle Rich says it helps you track this is about charging admission. It helps you track how many people come through the doors. And that's kind of the main reason I would like to have admission, is to see how many people are coming through the doors. The way Bo's show is set up, that is not something he can do easily. I mean, how would you do it? I guess you could, at each entry, I'd have to have like 5 people. I'd have to have one person outside the Williamson Ballroom, and then they'd have to you'd have to get markers and mark everybody. It would cause, like, there's already a log jam, like trying to get through spaces in the hallway. Like, just charging admission would be an extra step to that. Or maybe you set up at the front doors, or the side door and the front door. Are you here for the card show? No, I'm a hotel guest. Are you here for the card show? No, I'm a hotel guest. Are you here? Yes, I'm here for the card show. And you're going to it's just not conducive. It would be extremely difficult. Not something I want for $1 or $2 a piece. Not something I want to fight over. Kyle says, I thought it was a nice mix of cards yesterday. Could have found plenty of non-NASCAR cards to spend all my money on. Was tempted by a number of vintage baseball cards. Yes, good deal. JK says, listed a bunch of 1971 Topps football last night, moving like hotcakes. Yeah, man, 71 Topps football is very popular on eBay. Might have to start targeting vintage more. I did not find any vintage, I don't think, for me, for buying. Well, I guess I did. I bought some more 74s. I feel like I'm chasing my own tail with this goddamn 1974 set build. Like, it was fun, and now it's annoying. It's like, God, I still have 20 cards. I thought I had them. I've got empty spots in my binder. It's less and less fun. It's like, now it's just like, I just want to, but I don't want to go on eBay and spend $1.50, $2 a card. I can, I think I paid 20 cents a card for these. So we'll see. Another reason for charging admission at a card show, it helps mitigate the cost of the room. Absolutely. And they've raised my rent every single year at the Sheraton. And 2021, the base rate. 2022, they raised it. 2023, they raised it. I did nothing with the rates. 2024, they raised it 25% on top of all the previous. And it's like, so that's when I took the volume discounts away. So for some, it went up. The $50 table rate stayed the same last year, but I wasn't doing 2 for $80 or 3 for $120 or whatever it was. I raised it up. And so this year it's just like $60 to help mitigate that always increasing rate. Mikey says, I want Bills and Commanders so Bills can lose a 5th Super Bowl. Zach says, Bills, Eagles, wouldn't care who wins the chip, but lean Buffalo because there isn't a lot of good in Buffalo and they have suffered enough. There's Max. What's going on? Sounds like missed a good discussion about someone bitching at the show. Tell him to fuck off and go find another show to set up at. I should do that. I didn't have anybody bitching yesterday. There was like some grumblings, like, I didn't do well, but I think it just is what it is. Nobody really bitching though. Even parking, I was surprised. Like, I've had more people complain about parking at previous shows than I did yesterday, where we put the notice out and people were bitching before the freaking show started about the parking situation. Rich says, 3, it can help you build a mailing text list if you so desire. That's one thing. And Bo agrees that he can do better. Oh, for sure. I did start to put one together, and I've completely dropped the ball on putting something like that together. And it can help my own business. Like, go to 99centcards.com. Rich says, if you charge admission, you can actually refuse entrance to someone you know is a thief. Red Light, good morning. How was the show? It was awesome. We'll talk a little bit about it. John says, 1970 to 72 Topps football is the triple crown of sets. They nailed it 3 years in a row as far as design. And here's why I think they nailed it. Because you can determine, at least in my opinion, although I think even for baseball, the 70s nailed it, with the exception of 76 and 79. Every year is discernible. Is that the proper word to use? Like, you can tell 1970 to 1971 to 1972. Like, you can easily identify what year those sets are. And I feel in modern times we've gotten away from that, although I think Topps is improving on their designs as far as that goes, where it's like 2024 last year, like the neon, we know, oh, that's the neon. Like, there's a lot of sets in the 2000s that are just like, well, there's nothing specific about them for the most part. 2015, I think, was a good design year. And I think 70 with the gold and the, kind of the oval photo in the middle, like, beautiful, beautiful design. 71, you got the big block at top? In 72, I should know 72. Can't remember. Know it if I saw it though. Rich says, if you have free admission, that is a public event and you cannot prevent them from your show. Many dealers start packing up as soon as they finish setting up. Rich says, I personally believe in a reasonable admission fee, but other promoters see that as a cash cow. John says, Bo, I can't talk right now. I have to run. James was there yesterday. What's going on? Yesterday was fun. Never seen that many women at a card show. More women, less Pokemon nerds. Rich says, I always allowed early birds as long as they paid their admission. Zach says, people start packing up at Oak Creek 2 hours early. Very frustrating. It claims to be a show that goes until 4, but if you don't get there by 2, it's a ghost town. The last time I was there, I did notice that because I think I got there at like 12:30, and half the dealers were already packing up at 12:30. Mr. Archer, good morning. Joseph's in the house. He works in Covington. Oh, love me the beef house. Mr. Archer says, Terre Haute is where all of my family is from. Very cool. Mikey says, my mom says she isn't driving an extra 45 minutes to go to Covington. Well, come on, Mom. Get you some buttered rolls and a steak at the beef house. Zach misses the sex bots. Rich says, oh, terrible like percent. Smash that button and sub to this great content. John says, Bali is awesome. Ubud is otherworldly. Or is it Ubud? Mikey says, I spent 4 years for college in Terre Haute and was born there. Max says, yes, Mary Kay Ash, the original Bernie Madoff. Zach says, ironically, I believe if someone wandered into a show with no background, they'd be more likely to buy pokey versus baseball cards. Times have changed. Yes. So, and I'm glad Max is here. And I shit on Pokemon a lot. And it's just because the reason I shit on Pokemon at a card show is because I would prefer those tables be sports cards and not Pokemon because I just walk on by. But man, it is a runaway. Pokemon is a runaway freight train. And I'm going to be more inclusive. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to see more Pokemon. You might see more Pokemon, but I think the more Pokemon you see is a lot of the sports dealers are putting Pokemon or getting into Pokemon. I know multiple dealers that are like, man, there's a lot of money to be made. Now, some of it worries. And I had my buddy Wally. We were at the bar having a spotted cow after the show, and we were talking about this. And I'm curious to get Max's thoughts on this. There's so many people coming into Pokemon, but what reasons are they coming into? And for sports cards, a lot of us are into sports cards because we also are into baseball. Like I'm a diehard baseball fan, Cubs fan. And I love baseball cards. You know, I still enjoy football. I'm not as big of a football fan as I am baseball. I don't collect as a collector. I don't collect football, but part of my business, you know, I'm in sports cards. So I kind of dabble into everything, but I focus on baseball because that's what I like. And I don't know the Pokemon world. Why are people getting into Pokemon? Is it just for the money? Because that's kind of what I'm curious about. And I wonder, and I know some of the people that are in Pokemon, I know why they're in Pokemon. It's strictly for the money, which, hey, business is business. I completely understand that. But we saw this in sports cards 3-4 years ago. A lot of people got into sports cards because of the money. And then when the money dried up a little bit, a lot of them ran. And I wonder if that's going to happen to Pokemon in the near future. Now, I think we're still kind of in the middle. For me, from my insights from the outside view, not being in the Pokemon world, I see this like incline, and I see it continuing. And how I see that is the amount of people that I hear switching from sports to Pokemon or dabbling into Pokemon who 6 months ago may have said, screw Pokemon, that's dorky stuff. the amount of interest from dealers that I get, a large majority of my waiting list is Pokemon dealers. The amount of traffic that Pokemon brings in. If I had no Pokemon, if you saw the video, the highlights video of the Madison Card Show yesterday, there's a lot of people. It's packed. If you took all of the Pokemon out of that show, it's like, sorry, it's sports cards only. I wouldn't say it'd be a ghost town, but it would not be very well attended. And I think a lot of the sports dealers don't realize that, where they see a lot of people in the room and those people may not be buying what they're selling. And that's why I do want to have balance, because I want people to come in for Pokemon. I want people to come in for vintage. I want people to come in for downtowns and kabooms. But I want a balance. And at the same time, if you're a vintage dealer and everybody else is flocking to the Pokemon or the kaboomies, then the vintage isn't selling, you're going to lose the vintage dealers. And then all of a sudden people are, oh, there's no vintage there. Well, there's no vintage there because there's no vintage buyers. And you as one person may be a vintage buyer, but you're not paying the table fee for this. If you only spend $50 on a card or a couple cards, you're not paying table fee for that guy. So you have to have like that delicate balance on both sides of the table. So Pokemon is a runaway freight train right now. And I learned some stuff. I went out and kind of one thing that is easily quantifiable is the hallway is kind of the Pokemon area. It's like kind of like, well, new dealers, I'd put in I like saying mezzanine better. Hallway sounds like you're just stuck out in the middle of nowhere. It's a mezzanine. It's basically its own room. Like you walk in, like you literally walk into the mezzanine. Like you don't walk into the ballroom. It's not like you walk into the ballroom and you have to go find the hallway. You walk right into the hallway. And if you miss it, you're blind. But that's where most of the Pokemon is. And at this point, it's like, I don't want to put a sports dealer out there because it's all Pokemon and you might not do well. In fact, I had a guy 2 months ago, didn't do very well, has nice stuff. He was in the hallway, didn't do well. Well, he's surrounded by Pokemon. So a lot of people are probably walking through. I'm a Pokemon guy. And a lot of the sports people, well, I'm not going to walk through there because it's all Pokemon. So I've got to be strategic on, okay, I can't put, unless the dealer wants to be there. I think I have one sports table in there and he likes that spot. And he can keep it. But I can tell by how packed and crowded that hallway is. It's all Pokemon dealers. It's all Pokemon buyers. And I learned something towards the end of the day. Honto Gaming, one of my dealers on the mezzanine, was like, he just pulled a God pack. And like to most of us, that means nothing. Max knows exactly what it is. And there might be some others that know. I think Brian is dabbling into Pokemon now. Gem City Card Show. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then like if you put it in dollar terms, then I understand. Oh, that's a big hit. So it's comparable to like pulling a superfractor, a God pack out of the new Prismatic, which everybody's going crazy over. It's about $4,000 in cards in one pack. And a little 10-year-old pulled it, a dealer's son. And so the first person I told was East Coast Tom. And of course, he's not into Pokemon either. So, and then I put it in, he's like, oh, wow. So then I told Christian, one of my dealers who deals in Pokemon. And he's like, no way. He's like, that's what you wouldn't think you'd see that in person. That's like something you see on Whatnot or TikTok. And then I told Jack, one of the other Pokemon guys. He's like, no way. And it's like, and we as sports, and I'll paint us with a broad brush, we as sports guys sometimes think, oh, that's Pokemon's for kids and it's nerdy. But we collect pictures of men on cards that are in baseball uniforms or football uniforms. It's just as nerdy. It's just a different subset. And sometimes I need to bring myself down and like, okay, I talk shit about Max and his Pokemon, but It's no different than us and our baseball cards or football cards. So I don't know if Max has made any comments. He has. Okay. Let's see. All right. So I want to tackle because I did want to get some of Max's comments on what I just said. So Max says sports guys are coming in for the money. Retailed sealed product is flippable. Ask the guy in the corner opposite of me. LOL. Right. Problem is your ASP with Pokemon will likely be much lower than sports. Yeah. So, all right. So let's go back. Where are we at? Andy Mack is here. Good morning. Oh, wait. I think I missed a few more. Oh, here we are. Zach says they pass a basket at church. Yeah, they do. ROI on that basket is amazing. I can do whatever I want. Toss in a few GWs and my conscience is clear. Yeah, you got to pay to go to church. That dude from Duryea says some people wouldn't pay for oxygen. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? I mean, people will complain about $1 admission at a card show. Good morning, Andy Mack. Johnny M says, had a guy complain he can't bid on one of my auctions since he has an unpaid item strike on his account. He's blaming the seller. Bye-bye. Yeah, I get every once in a while I'll get that because I think I have my account set up to where if you have 2 unpaid strikes, you're not. And of course, I get these sob stories. Oh, it was an accident, blah, blah, blah. Tough. Bradley says 60 more days until MLB opening day. Bradley says go Brewers, go Cubs. Zach says I'm sending Kampka 70 Frank Thomas cards. And if my math is correct, I'm basically setting up with the means to pass my Frank ranking on TCDB. Andy Mack says pirate ship is amazing. If you're ever shipping something valuable, their insurance claim process is really easy compared to USPS. Wow, bummer. I still haven't got word back from the USPS on my claim from last week. Hopefully I'll find out Monday. They paid a $2,000 claim on a piece of art I sold through my Shopify. Wow. Max says, yesterday was an unsuccessful show for walking around for me too. Sat down to fill my showcases at 8:30 and wasn't able to leave. That's a good problem to have. Max's table was packed until 2. I did manage to fill up 2 vehicles with my purchases, though. Love it. Zach says, Andy Mack, it is really easy, and I use the customer support on a Sunday. They were excellent. Max says, I found that funny now that you mentioned that. I heard nothing about parking yesterday. Every show, I usually hear 1 or 2 people say something. I know. Like every show, I'll hear people complain about parking. And yesterday, when we're proactive and giving you an alternative, for if you can't find a parking spot, we will shuttle you. Unfortunately, you have to pay for that parking, but there is a shuttle service provided. People are complaining before the show even starts. Didn't hear many complaints about parking. You know, I heard people, I found a spot, but I think I heard 2 or 3 people say, I pulled in as somebody was pulling out. It's like, that's what she said. That dude from Duryea says 2015, 17, and 19 tops are tough to spot some parallels. Let's see. Mikey wants the Commanders to win to change their name back. T206 kid in the house. Good morning. Growing up in the late 90s, I had no interest in Pokemon, but Pokemon cards were played with. Are they played with today? I mean, they are game cards, right? I don't know that. I don't know. I know there are. And Max can provide the answer to this, but and I have no idea, but I feel like it's a mix. I feel like half the people like play Pokemon and half the people just like flip them, like just buy and sell them. But I don't know. James says that one show in Wisconsin is 80% Pokemon and magic crap. Well, hopefully that one show is in Madison. I think it was last month. I think I said it was about 27% Pokemon last month. It was probably a little higher. And that's like Pokemon specific tables. I don't count like if somebody has a showcase of sports plus a few boxes or a few Pokemon singles or even Pokemon in their showcase but it's mostly sports. Like, I just count that as sports. Merle says the Minnesota Card Show, not the original, is starting another show for Pokemon only. Cooter says, will Pokemon collectors be Pokemon collectors in 59 years? Sports continues to link people to the cards. What keeps the connection alive when the money dries up in Pokemon? And that's kind of what my question is. And there may be, it might be like, look at the junk wax era. Like, I came up in the junk wax era, and I was one of those kids that kind of stuck with collecting. And I think the same can be said for sports cards. I bet the same I bet the same amount. I don't know if it's 59 years, but let's just say 30 years, because that kind of goes 30 years, goes back to 95, right? Is that 30 years? Yeah, 95. So let's go 35 years. God damn, we're getting old. So 35 years ago, it's hard to compare because sports cards has made a resurgence in the last 5 years. But between 1990 and 2020, there was a significant drop-off in the amount of sports card collectors because a lot of those 1990 collectors were in it for the money. And even the kids, I had dollar signs in my eyes. Thanks, Dr. Beckett, and your monthly magazine. Because I got that Beckett monthly and I opened up a pack of 90 tops and I want to see how much this Nolan Ryan card is worth. Ooh, this card's worth 75 cents and I only paid 50 cents for the pack. But I bet Pokemon is still alive and kicking in another 35 years. And there's probably a similar amount of people that will still be collecting Pokemon as today baseball, comparatively speaking. Shane says, I'm kind of shocked. No one has walked around your show and realized they should start their own Pokemon show in Madison. Max says the conversation has been had multiple times. Max says, I want zero to do with another show and wouldn't support it with a good friend already promoting one in Madison. And I've had thoughts. I want somebody else to take the reins. Like, I don't want to promote a show in Madison for Pokemon. Because I don't want to do other shows. Like, I'm content with the Madison Card Show. But yeah, I don't know. Never say never. But yeah, I don't really have an interest in doing that. And then it's like, when do you schedule it? And which is pretty easy. It's the same as, when would I schedule a sports card show? Well, look at the calendar. Max says, people realize Pokemon is much more than just cards, right? The way sports are going, do we think sports cards may be around in 59 years? Who knows? But the money won't dry up in Pokemon, biggest IP. Biggest IP in the world, and just getting bigger. Hop on or leave it alone. But don't talk shit if you don't know anything on the topic. Max says, Pokemon is probably 90% collect, 10% play. Okay. That's less than I thought. I thought more people would be playing Pokemon. I thought it might have been like 50-50 or maybe 40% played, 60% just collected. That's interesting. Cooter says, wasn't talking shit. What's the hook to keep interest alive? Max says, Pokemon is more adjacent to sports. Magic is almost the exact opposite. Players are loyal to shops and really only looking for playable cards. James says, no, it's not Madison. This one's 20 minutes from Oak Creek. Forget the name. Oh, I know. It was in Waukesha. It was the Waukesha show. Low Roller Scratcher has reappeared. He says, if you see a full Prismatic Evolutions ETB and booster box in Target, Walmart, GameStop, would you grab them, buy it, since it's easy money to flip in your store? Of course I would. Now, what are the chances I see that? Because I don't go out and look. I never go to GameStop. If I'm in Target or Walmart, people are probably camping out for this stuff. They're waiting for the stocking of these. So if the extremely minimal chance that I even knew what I was looking at, but if I knew what it was, that it was something I could flip, yes, absolutely, I would buy it. But the chances of that happening are 0.1%. Lofi Joe says, yesterday I passed by the McDonald's near the university I work at. Lots of students there, almost all with Pokemon Happy Meals at the tables. That never happens, so it is the Pokemon cards. There you go. Max says, the anime for like 30 years and the cards are the hook. Dad Dude from Duryea says, last week people were waiting in line at the usual stores for the new Pokemon release. Max says, are sports really hooking people on the cards? I don't think so. I mean, it's a good connection, but for me, it was like, I like baseball and I like baseball. Like, there is a correlation. Like, I like baseball cards more than football cards and basketball cards and soccer cards and hockey cards. I don't want anything to do with hockey and soccer. And I don't want anything to do with watching those two sports on TV. I dabble in football. I watch football on TV. Basketball, and I have even less interest in basketball. There's almost an exact correlation to my sports viewing to my card acquiring. Baseball is number one. Same with the sport I enjoy. Football is number two. Both cards and viewing. Basketball number three. Same. And then the rest. And I don't watch any other sports. Max says Pokemon is safer than Disney, but Americans don't realize that. There was a lot of talk about print runs after initial release. The Pokemon post. What's up? Charizard can never have a season-ending injury. The cards usually stay stagnant or up in price. Uncle Rich says we have one promoter here in Dallas who does sports on Saturday, TCG on Sunday. Interesting. Max says Waukesha was like 50-50. The Pokemon post says, was wild to see that kid pull a God pack. LOL, I bought a couple boxes right after that and pulled almost $200 worth of cards. Wow. Is that a good deal? If you only spent $100 on the boxes, it's a good deal. And I've heard that, like, when like you get a better bang for your buck on Pokemon. Philip says, what are your thoughts on prospect James Wood, and would it be worth investing in him? No. No. Don't invest in prospects. It's a losing proposition. I think James Wood is a great player, but I think investing in players is a fool's errand. So now, do I speculate at times? Absolutely. I love Bowman, but I also buy what I can easily flip. I'm not hanging on, I invested in Dylan Cease back in the day. Fortunately, that panned out. Most of the prospecting doesn't pan out. So James Wood, good player, but I wouldn't invest in him or any other prospect. Unless you like gambling and you're just wanting to speculate and prospect. But if you're looking to make money, go with what you know, and buy what you can sell for a profit. Max says also, why do people keep buying Mickey Mantle? Nostalgia. He's been dead for a while. Charizard's still breathing fire, bro. James says those Pokemon boys are buying those boxes for $110, $120. Buy them all. Low Roller Scratcher says some dealers will put some Pokemon cards in their card show. They hope Pokemon collectors to buy your sports cards too. You can have both ways on sports cards and Pokemons. I know that. I understand that. Max says, in regards to ripping Pokemon versus sports, Pokemon has a higher floor, much, much lower ceiling. Oh, then that's not something I knew either. I'm learning a lot. This weekend has been a very a big learning experience in the world of Pokemon for me. So yeah, great show yesterday. I didn't spend much money yesterday. Trying to think of what I spent. I think I only spent like 30 or 40 bucks. Not for lack of trying. It was just, there wasn't much that I was really looking for. I did find my one of my dealers, Mike, who's been one of my favorite dealers to buy from in recent months. That's where I bought all the vintage football for like $1 a piece last month. He knocked his quarter boxes down to a dime. So I've got a buyer that, 75 cents for Mahomes, 75 cents for LeBron, quarter for Aaron Rodgers. So I got a Mahomes, So turning 10 cents to 75 cents. He might even gave me a discount on these. I think 3 or 4 LeBron James cards, a couple Aaron Rodgers, a couple Vladimir Guerrero Juniors. So got those for a dime or less a piece. And I think is about $5. What I'll sell it to my customer for $5. Let's see. And also from Mike is the dealer's name. I also got, I think, oh no, those I got from I forgot I bought those. I bet I spent $50. I forgot I got some stuff from Cigar Box John. I picked this up. This was basically a speculative buy. It's a 2002 Topps Chrome Aces game worn jersey card of Tim Hudson. It's probably worth a couple bucks, but I'm like, I've never seen that. And sometimes when I don't see things, I'm like, oh, it could be. Dylan Cease jersey card. Hopefully I don't have this one. Add it to my TCDB. Sebastian Walcott. Is there more than it's in a team bag? I don't know. Maybe there's more than one card in here. It's double team bag. Jeez, they were really protecting this one. So Sebastian Walcott, he's an up and coming one of the top prospects in baseball. That over there. For the PC, Mark Pryor, numbered out of 145, Epic Materials. Carl Crawford, this is like a red refractor, numbered to 99. I think I paid $1 or $2 a piece for those. What else? Where did I get the? Oh, also from Mike's was Jackson Wiggins and Carl Edwards Jr. jersey. And then from Craig, I think one of those might have came from Craig. Craig is set up right behind Max. I got a Paul Skeens Cosmic Chrome. I think I paid $2 or $2.50 for these. Kate Martin Silver Prism, or Silver Select rookie card. And a Jordan, I'll probably put this in a lot as one of the like top cards in a lot. Let's see. And then here's the rest of the dime cards, a stack of dime cards. Travis Kelce, some Cubs. There was a gold refractor, Marcus Colston gold refractor. I might put that, since it was a dime, I might just run this. This is stuff like the gold refractor Marcus Colston. I get it for a dime and I can put it at auction. There were a bunch of Bradley Beal like color prisms. So I'm like, there were enough there. I can lot these up and sell for $5 or $6. Peyton Manning, Saquon Barkley, Lamar Jackson, Luka, one Ohtani card, some Cubs, some Giannis, Joe Montana. So obviously the Cubs, I'll put Jose Canseco 87 Fleer. Some of these I'll put in lots. Couple will go at auction, and obviously the Cubs will go on the PC. So that's and then the 74s, add those to my binder. About 15, I think, that I bought. And then from John, Cigar Box John, I got these for what? About $4 a piece. Michael Carrico, Jersey Auto, Team USA. Josh Rivera, he was traded, I think, to Toronto, maybe. Braylon Marquez, first Chrome Auto. And Riley Thompson, in-person auto. So pick those up. It's there. And my PSA submission was returned. Dan's probably sleeping. I know he's been asking about this. But my Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, ticket stub from his debut returns from PSA. This is the only graded copy of Triple H's debut, WWF. Pen marks all over. It was the bottom of a coffee mug with pen marks on it from April 26th, 1995. And the slip is incorrectly labeled as 1996. So that's fun. I don't know if I'll probably put this in my eBay store for like $1,000. but I'm not really motivated to sell it. Like if somebody offered me 300, I would decline it. I don't know what my price would be on it. 1,000, I'd sell it for 1,000, but I don't know where depends. The offer comes in, if 500 comes in, it's like, yeah, I'd sell that, but it's slabbed now. I had it raw. I think the best offer I had was like $200 with it raw. So we'll see. Let's see. Max says, does he still set up on the end of my row? End of your row. Yeah. Cigar Box John. Yes. Cigar Box John still sets up in your row. Tell him to clean his shit up after shows. The cleanup guy said there's a pile of garbage there after every show. Oh, really? All right. Thank you for letting me know that. I will check that out and make sure. Usually I do a sweep, and some tables are a lot messier than others. Although yesterday, and maybe the cleaning guy, maybe he would, because by the time I got done with dinner and went back up, it looked pretty good. It was pretty clean, but that's probably why. Probably was cleaned. Shane says, reach out to Darren Rovell about that ticket. Oh yeah, Darren Rovell's a big ticket guy. Do I see people selling Funko Pops? I don't think so. I don't think there's a market in Funko Pops. Like I think Funko Pops are like Beanie Babies. I don't think there's much margin in those. Max says, just don't want it to affect your relationship with the hotel. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. And so far I haven't had many complaints. They've done a better job. Like part of the reason it's been messy in past shows is because they never put trash cans out, or the trash cans they had were outside in the hallway and they were really small and there's just a pile of trash because there's no trash cans. So they started putting large trash cans within the last couple months. That has helped a lot. So I'm glad they started doing that. Rich says, when I was running shows back in the day, the person who set up and cleaned up the room always went to this one dealer's table first, because he knew that more than half his cleanup time would be spent in that dealer's area. Yeah, that's annoying. The trash can was packed. Yeah, and even there's two large ones on each side of the ballroom, and they were still packed. Plus the small ones by each elevator. I'm sure those were packed. So great show yesterday. Next show is Saturday, February 22nd. So in the meantime, I don't think I have. Oh, I do have a couple shows in between. So I will be set up in Janesville on Super Bowl Sunday. I'm looking forward to that. It should be a fun show. I know other areas have had Super Bowl Sunday shows with great success. We'll see how this one goes in Janesville. So in 2 weeks from today. And then I think I'm going to go to the Columbus, Wisconsin show just to walk it and check it out. I think it's a great buying opportunity. Free tables. So I'm not going to set up. I'm not going to take a table, but I will walk the floor and hopefully it'll be a good buying show. So I think that's February 15th. I think it's a Saturday before the Madison Card Show. So Saturday, February 15th in Columbus, Wisconsin. And then Madison on the 22nd. And then we go into March, and I'll be in Arizona for 8 days. But I think I coincide with the big Arizona Card Show. I probably won't go though. I like watching. I'm there for baseball. I'm there to watch baseball and do that. So, but we'll see. You never know. I did do a card show once there. Walked around at a card show in Scottsdale a couple years ago. And then we come back for the spectacular. Not sure if Wally isn't going to set up on that Sunday. I'll take his table again. And but otherwise, I probably won't go to the spectacular. And then March 29th, and tentatively PSA will be in-house on Saturday, March 29th, accepting submissions. Let's see. Pokemon Post says, I'm a bit behind on the stream, but spent $90 on 2 boxes to pull 200. That's okay. That's a great return. Heck yeah. James says, you think Matt Shaw will get the call? His shit is going off. So he's basically right now, he is the starting third baseman for the Chicago Cubs. And Cubs management has said, like, we're going with Matt Shaw. Like, he's going to be the third baseman for the Cubs. So I think that's a lot of the reason why I should probably get my dupes out and start moving some Matt Shaw. But yeah, so he's going to he'll make the opening day roster unless something major happens. The only thing, and I this is like a 0.1% chance. There's been rumblings of Alex Bregman signing with the Cubs, like on a short-term deal. I don't see that happening because the Cubs would lose $1 million in international free agency money, as well as 2 draft picks, like 2 high draft picks. So I don't see them signing Bregman. If that were the case, then potentially Matt Shaw would start in Iowa. But I think they're going with Matt Shaw, and he'll be the Chicago Cubs starting third baseman in 2025. Alrighty, I'm going to wrap things up. I got to make some mushroom coffee. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hit up my eBay store at 99centcards.com. I'll just flash that on the screen real quick. 99centcards.com. In the Buy It Now section, buy 7 or more items at regular price. You will save 25% off at checkout. Check it out. 99centcards.com. I've got some auctions ending. I don't think there's any ending tonight, but I do believe I have some auctions ending. I know I don't have any ending tonight because I was still in Chicago last Sunday. I do have auctions ending tomorrow night and, of course, Tuesday night. Now, I may not do a live stream Tuesday night. I was talking to a friend of mine who's doing trivia on Tuesdays. And so I may do trivia on Tuesday night. So I may not do eBay streams live. It's been kind of lackluster the last couple of weeks, and that's mostly on me for not putting great items up for auction on those Tuesdays. So may or may not, kind of going to be a game time decision whether or not I do a Tuesday night stream. But we'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.-ish Central Time. I think I'm caught up on sleep. So we'll try to be at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So have a great Sunday. Watch some football. Go Washington. Go Buffalo or Kansas City or Philadelphia. Whoever you're rooting for. Go football. Have a great Sunday. We'll see you in the morning.